you have to kind of meet your content where you are and start your content where you are. And it's not about becoming someone else so you can start posting.
Exactly.
It's about figuring out what are the things that are valuable to you and saying, hey, if it was valuable to me, it might be valuable to someone like me. Hey everybody, welcome to Saturdata, your favorite weekend podcast. I'm here with my friends Sam and Sai. How's everybody doing today?
So far, so good. I'm excited for the podcast. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you.
Also excited. I think I'm going to learn a lot today.
Thank you.
All right, I'll jump in. So how we're going to do it today is I'm going to be moderating, and then Shiv and Sai will be kind of having a conversation. I'll just make sure to keep us on time and on track. That way we don't go too overboard with all the amazing questions I know we're going to have today.
Totally.
So,
we want to do little side quests, but always come back to the main point.
Yeah, I can't spend all my time doing side quests. I can spend some of it.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll go ahead and kick things off with the first question. The first question here is, Sai, how did you get started in data analytics?
That's a great question to start with. So I think it was, I would say, accidental. So I was doing my bachelor's in electronics back in India in 2021. And then I had to take some elective called SQL. I didn't even know what SQL was in 2021. I was like, I didn't get my choice of elective. So I had to take SQL. So I had no choice. So I took
He
SQL.
was forced into it.
Yeah, and then same with foundations of machine learning. So I didn't get what I wanted, so I had to take these both electives. And then I was pretty good at math, linear algebra, calculus, or differentiatives, or like a pretty good from my engage. So and then I could really connect with SQL and machine learning, the algorithm part of it. I connected with them, and then I was like, okay, what is this? And then I started researching what is SQL, what is machine learning, and then I found out there's something called data analytics, there's something called data science out there. So I'm like, okay, I did some research in 2021. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. By that time, I wanted to pursue my master's in electrical, but then I'm like, okay, I'm good at math. This stuff is interesting. Why not explore a master's in data science? I dropped my plan of pursuing master's in electrical, started researching on universities, United States for data science, and applied to few universities in states, and then got admits in most of them. I think I got rejected by 2 universities, and then I came to United States to pursue my master's in data science in Jan 2022. So I took a break of 3 months because of COVID, and then my journey in data science started in Jan 2022. So it's been 3 years almost. Yeah, 3.5 years.
3.5 years, and I feel like you've done more in 3 years than most people do in 20.
Yeah, honestly, real talk.
Thank you.
I had a question around that. What made you choose a master's in data science instead of like a master's in statistics or applied math or something, right? Something a little more traditional that would have also fit the bill for like the data science field.
Yeah, that's a good question, because when I was starting out, I was still an entry-level person. I was pivoting from electrical to data science. So doing an applied or more math-oriented would require more knowledge. And then I wasn't sure, to be honest, if I would be good fit or not, if I could do that or not. So I wanted to start small, wanted to get into data analytics, business analytics, or data science side of things. And then with time and experience, as I meet more people, gain knowledge, and then work on cutting edge projects, maybe a few years down the line, I might get into research role or like anything that interests me in deep work. But in 2021, I didn't even know these degrees or majors exist, like applied or research roles, because I was just a newbie figuring out my career right after bachelor's. So, but that's something I did few certifications before getting started, because I wanted to make my application stronger to these universities in United States. So did few certifications from Udemy, Coursera, the basic Google Analytics one, and few from Udemy, and then made few projects just so that I could show that I'm not an electrical person, I'm a data person, and then made a portfolio myself, and then wrote my SOP, and then got into data science.
Wow. And do you feel like transitioning from electrical engineering to data science was like preparing you for what was to come? Do you feel like that helped you a lot, or was it just a totally different thing?
It's one of the best decisions that I have made in my life so far. Like coming into data, and with the rise in AI that we have seeing from past 2 years. I mean, data science was always hot topic, but then with the chat GPT that coming out in December 2022, I think that's when I felt, okay, I've chosen the right path for my career, and that I'm in the right place at right time, especially in United States. So there's no going back. There's no regret of choosing data science over electrical. So I'm like 200% over it. Like love this field, love the people that are there. Like we have I think we have the best community out there. If you take any other community in the tech world or non-technical world, I think we have the best community out there for data science.
I agree. I go to meetups every week, and it's always about, or every month, and it's always about data. And I think a lot of cities have data meetups. I don't see electrical engineer low key data happy hours, low key happy hours. I don't see mechanical engineer low key happy hours. Yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment. That portfolio you were talking about just now, that was before your masters or after your masters?
Before my masters, like
Before your
it's not
masters.
the portfolio, but like set of few projects, starter projects like movie data set or EDA or basic Excel dashboards and basic Power BI dashboards, just so that I wanted to make my application look stronger when universities were looking at my SOP. So took few certifications and also wanted to understand what exactly is data analytics, what exactly is data science. So did few
Right.
basic ones to put out on my SOP, and then got the admits from most of the universities.
Yeah, and you have such an insane, inspiring work ethic that we'll get into later. But I feel like that just speaks to your level of commitment and dedication to your craft because even just to get into your master's program, you're already just going the extra mile in every possible way, which is amazing.
Thank you, thank you. I think we need to stand out at least in 21st centuries without, because there are a lot of people like we take it job search or take it university application or take it for a promotion. So the ratio per application per job is way more than expected. So I think we need to stand out in every possible way at every point in our life, especially in
Very
data
true.
science.
Yeah, so true.
So speaking of standing out, when you finished your master's degree and you started working, uh, you at some point decided, hey, I'm going to start posting on LinkedIn. That feels like something that'll help me stand out, I suppose. So that kind of goes into the question of what were the kind of the motivations and why did you start posting on LinkedIn and really publicizing a lot of your content?
That's another great question. So to start with, during my job search, a lot of people did help me, in be it paid or be it free. I did have a lot of mentors, like mentorship from be it my university or mentors that I found online. So, and then it took me a while to get a job as a fresher, as an immigrant, and then I did graduate in one of the worst markets ever, which is May 2023, the time where the market was crashing. So all these put together, it was a tough journey to get my current role, which is like a lead data analyst at Blue Cross Blue Shield. And once I got the job, and then I was like, after my work, I did have a lot of time after my work. So I work 9 to 5, and then I did have few hours after my work, and then I was just, to be honest, like watching movies or doing whatever stuff that's not technical or upskilling. And then I thought, okay, a lot of people did help me. I had a lot of time after work. I needed to do something different. So I'm like, okay, let me start posting and see where it goes. So I started posting, but a few posts later, I started seeing traction. So that's when I realized there are a lot of people that are resonating with things that I wish someone had told me earlier. So like maybe on SQL tips or interview tips, upskilling in data analytics and data science. So that's when that it clicked that I could help more people by posting consistently than by hopping on one-on-one calls. So then I started putting myself out there consistently, making 3 to 5 posts a week. And it took me a while to be consistent and get that traction. From there, there's no looking back. So grateful for the journey and grateful that I had a lot of time, and then I took this decision of posting on LinkedIn.
I think you hit on something there, which is consistency, which I'll be honest, something I struggle with. I've been posting on LinkedIn probably for 8 years now, but I can't. I'm not consistent in the way I post. Right, I post twice in a week. We were talking about this even beforehand, and then I won't post for a month, and then I'll post twice in a week, and then I won't post for a month. So like the post, even though they might be great, they're probably, LinkedIn has some algorithm. There is a level of consistency that if, like you've seen, if you're consistent, you're going to get a better and wider audience, right? So kind of backing up into what the question is from this is talking to either someone like myself or someone listening to this podcast later who might be at 100 followers or 500 followers, right? Like just starting out, or less, right? How would you make that recommendation to start from zero? What would you recommend to then grow into something larger?
So all of us start from zero. So start with what you know. You don't have to be an expert. All of us are learning in our journeys. We are upskilling every day. We're learning from our peers, from our managers, from someone who's just started out or being like trying to put them out. put themselves out there, increasing their visibility. So you can start with sharing your journey, sharing your learnings, sharing with your failures, rejections, or your expertise. Like you have done a certification, start sharing it. You have done a project, start sharing it. You have been to a conference, you met someone you admire, someone you got inspiration from, share about that. So you learned something, share about that. So these are few things that I would say, like just put yourself out there, just hit that post button, and then within matter of time, without even realizing, in 2 to 3 months or 2 to 5 months, you would be nowhere. And then you would start seeing traction. You would get DMs saying, I love your content, I have this post has helped me in cracking the interview, or this post has helped me in completing my project before the deadline, or standing out in my current role. So when you start getting these DMs, it becomes addictive. So you wouldn't stop posting once you start getting these DMs. So it's always engage genuinely connect with people, post consistently, and do not chase vanity. Like I would say, chase value.
Nice. And I think something you also hit on there was how you have to kind of meet your content where you are and start your content where you are. And it's not about becoming someone else so you can start posting.
Exactly.
It's about figuring out what are the things that are valuable to you and saying, hey, if it was valuable to me, it might be valuable to someone like me.
Exactly. That's something that I found out to. Like I figured out what my talents were. Like I didn't even I could post. I didn't even I could do podcast. It was like maybe hidden talent that I figured out when I was posting. When I started posting, I didn't even I could do podcast. But then a few people reached out when during my first podcast. I still remember that I messed it up, but then it's a learning. So it's a hidden talent or something. But with time, you would figure out your talents, or you would learn new skill again, if not hidden talent. So just put yourself out there. Visibility matters, personal brand matters, if you want to stand out or make your growth exponential.
And one other thing I want to add to that is it's so hard to start. There's so much friction and so much like first time fear. But the more you do it, the more audacity you have and the less scary it is to do anything on the platform in public, I think. And definitely want to hear from you, Sai, on this, but I'll just quickly share that I led a launch at my company a couple weeks ago for our new agentic data engineering platform that Sai was actually a part of. So it was wonderful to have you there. And I was working with my team of like very laser focused software engineers that have been working at this company for like 6-8 years, and they've never done a LinkedIn post. And I was guiding them through scheduling their LinkedIn post for the launch. And they're so stressed about all the wording. They're like, I don't like how this looks. I need to change this word. And I'm so past the point of like caring about those types of things. And if you want to get to that point where you're just like, whatever, get it out there, you just have to start. And then as soon as you do that, it becomes less and less scary over time. And you can just like post what you're feeling.
Exactly. I can remember that when I was starting out, maybe for first 3 to 5 months, I would say I would spend at least 2 to 3 hours on one post, formatting it, like making sure that the tense is correct, the formatting is correct, the grammar is correct. But right now, I know that quality matters more than anything. It's your post value that you're bringing out that matters more than anything. With time, it's going to be inversely proportional. At start, you would be scared and then you would post less. But with time, you would post more and then you would be less scared. And then you're like, okay, I know my content is valuable. It doesn't matter if there's a grammatical mistake or if there's a formatting mistake. So you would focus more on quality of content as you see more traction, as you figure out things, as you meet more people, as you learn from them. It's going to be like inversely proportional.
Yeah, like as long as the impact is there. And nobody on LinkedIn is correcting your typos. Like that's just not the culture on LinkedIn. So even if you make a typo in whatever your third language, I don't think anyone cares.
Maybe that's a new way to stand out, because with AI wouldn't make any typos. If you make a typo, maybe that's how you figure out it's a human written post. It's not AI written.
Totally. And just in case people don't know, there is a huge wave on LinkedIn right now of like weird LinkedIn that's led by this marketer called Nick Power, who just been talking about him a lot because I think he's really a lot of fun. And he's basically trying to make LinkedIn more like 2013 Twitter, where it's like one sentence, short, lowercase post written by a human. And it is so nice and just like a little piece of light on the platform every time you see it.
Got it. I should check out his profile.
Totally.
Something you mentioned, something I was thinking too was I've been trying something out lately where my posts are more vibe posted, but not by an LLM, like more just me spitting things onto a keyboard and then throwing them into LinkedIn. Not like clickbaity, right? But more just natural, right? More just what's in my head. Let me put it down on the keyboard and then put it into, like, I do things on my website and then I try to link back to my own blog and website. But I've been vibing a lot more of these articles where I'll just spit it out and then post it. And those are interesting because they help you. I think they help you practice like getting unblocked. They're helping me practice getting unblocked, right? And not thinking too much about the words and just putting them down, putting some organization around it, and then just sending it out there, right? And it feels kind of like what you were saying. If I make a typo, it's actually probably fine, because then if someone's actually reading it, they're like, oh, it probably was not AI generated, because AI wouldn't have made that mistake.
In 2025, that's a way to stand out, and that's a way to show that it's you who's writing the post. It's not ChatGPT or Claude that's writing the post.
Yeah. Because I've done that. I've had AI write my post and I read over it and I'm like, no, this is trash. Throw it away. I'm not posting that.
Totally. And I think the vibe posting that you're talking about is a fun way to say, what is the way that I can process this the least amount possible between like my idea and getting it out? And that's where the authenticity comes from. It's like it hasn't gone through 10 layers of edits and 2 rounds of AI.
Exactly, that's true. But use AI if you want to save time or just say brainstorm with it. It's your new best friend. No need to embarrass, or like you can put yourself out there. You can talk about it openly. Ask, if I were to start from scratch, what should I focus on? This is my expertise. I've done masters in this. I work in as a software engineer. Like, what would you recommend? It's your 24/7 companion, whatever it is that you want to call it. Like, make sure to use it wisely. Do not replace it yourself.
Yeah, this is not an anti-AI bunch. It's just that we're saying that AI is not where authenticity should come from.
Exactly.
Those are perpendicular subjects, not parallel.
Yes, exactly.
And now, so we're all on LinkedIn, right? We all do the LinkedIn thing, and you know, whether in one way or another, it either helps or hurts us in the element of jobs, right? And kind of our professional life. Ideally, it helps us in professional life, but maybe in our current job, they could get a little like, why are you posting on LinkedIn? Why are you active on LinkedIn? Because there's this stigma around being active on LinkedIn means you're searching for a job. So how, for you, right, and having such a large following, how does being active on LinkedIn affect that part, affect your day-to-day job, and also affect job searches that you've had kind of in the time that you've been on LinkedIn?
I think that's a great question. So for me, it opens a lot of doors before they even knock. So whether it's recruiters reaching out or hiring managers or anyone wants to collaborate, that's for other side of it. But coming to my current job, I think I'm lucky here. My company and then my manager, my director, a lot of people, executives. I get to work with executives at my current work. They watch they see my content, they comment on my post too. And whenever they see me walking, like going for a coffee, they're like, they call me to their office and they're like, I love your content. You're writing pretty good. Keep doing. So they're very supportive. I still remember my CPO calling, my VPs telling me that your content is good. Keep going. You're doing an amazing work. So maybe I'm lucky here. Where my teams especially supports me a lot. And then whenever I share something, I remember when I was featured on Times Square, I told my director and manager that I got featured on Times Square. She sent out an email to everyone in the company saying, Sai got featured on Times Square.
Wow.
That's amazing. Oh my God, that's wonderful.
So that's where I think I'm lucky, but I understand the question where there might be a case where your company or team might not suppose you in terms of posting, but that's okay. If not this, that's what I would say. If not this opportunity, you might get in a better opportunity. But as long as you are following the company policies, I think it shouldn't matter. As long as you don't tell what you're working on at your work, and stay authentic and then follow the policies. And if at all, I mean, there are edge cases again where everything can go wrong, and then you could lose the job, or like you could have extra work. So that's something that's a trade-off. But when one door closes, LinkedIn opens hundreds of doors. That's something to remember.
Really good point. I can also add on to that because I've done this a little bit at 3 different companies. So like the first company I worked in is kind of a marketing dinosaur, and I was posting on LinkedIn very infrequently. So I think if you're posting very infrequently, it's like not really much of an issue. I did get in trouble once because I posted a joke about job hunting and my HR rep was like, I saw this. Are you looking for a job? And I was like, no, but I was looking for a job. So be careful with that, folks. And then at Sigma, my last company, it's a BI tool based in Silicon Valley. And I think a really good way to not get in trouble or like support your company through LinkedIn is participate in the launches, talk to the marketing team, show them that like you're going to post about their thing. And now it's not a threat at all. And it doesn't look bad. I don't know, in your performance review or whatever the concern is. And then at my current job, part of the reason I got the job was because of my LinkedIn presence. And now LinkedIn is part of my job. So it's like it did a full 180. And I think it's just really important to remember the context of how does this look and how can I align this with what I'm doing at work? Because number one, you'll be more consistent if it's aligned with your actual job. And number two, because you want the support of your company, like inside situation. You don't want a situation where they don't support.
That's a really great point. There is also, so kind of on the flip of that, right? We've talked about how does it impact us maybe negatively while we're looking for a job at our current place, but also it could go the other way, kind of side where you're at, where people really like your content and they support you. So do you think in your case, right, being active on LinkedIn, is that gonna help in the long term, either where you're at now and getting promotions, or is it gonna help in the long term in going somewhere else, or is that not something you want to talk about now?
I'm
It's
sure
your
like
long-term plan.
yeah, my long-term plan haven't decided on that, especially with LinkedIn. With my data science career, I see myself getting into data science, working on different cutting edge projects, getting into AI eventually. But with the LinkedIn side of things, I really haven't thought about it. But recently I started working on my Substack, which is called Data Hustle. So I started writing newsletters. Maybe I'm not sure where it takes me, but I'm ready for wherever it takes me.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
you both have a Substack. Maybe you could talk a little bit about what that's like and how the process is different for content creation between LinkedIn and like long form Substack articles.
Yeah, I think, so what I was saying earlier too is when I post on LinkedIn, I like to post 2 paragraphs, 3 at most, right? Like kind of keep it short and sweet, and then link it back to in the comments, right? Link it back to the Substack where I might have something longer form there that I can spend more time writing on and go kind of more in depth. But even Substack is still not like a long form writing mod. Like it's more of a medium form where I can go in depth, but I'm still not going to go that in depth as I would somewhere else. Who knows what that is, right? If it's a research paper or if it's a article where I team up with someone else. But usually on my Substack, things are medium form. That's kind of how I manage that. But definitely interested to hear, from what I understand about you, Sai, you put a lot of effort into your content creation process. So how are you seeing now moving forward your LinkedIn and your Substack kind of playing off of each other and helping each other?
Yep, I think that's something that I really love about Substack. Whereas LinkedIn, there's a character limit on a number of lines or number of characters that you can use in a post. Let's say if I want to deep dive into a topic on Python or SQL or job search or machine learning or whatever it is, LinkedIn might not allow me. I mean, it you can make it in terms of video and then carousel, but it wouldn't add much impact. People would just save it and then maybe they would think of reading it later, which might not happen. Even we do that every day. I save a lot of posts and then we would never go back and look at them. Whereas Substack, that's where I love it. Like I can put in all my effort there. I can put in all my knowledge and then I can insert code blocks, Python code blocks, SQL code blocks, or whatever it is that I can plug in. And then I can make it an amazing article to go to article, like say, saying interviews or upskilling in machine learning or data science or whatever it is. And then one thing that I love about Substack and newsletters is you're connected with the audience directly. Whereas on LinkedIn, you just post and then it's out there. Here, you have bunch of emails, 1,000 emails, 10,000, 100,000, a million emails. These are people that really admire you or people that they really want to learn from you. Whereas LinkedIn, they might follow hundreds of creators or hundreds of people out there. Whereas when someone is subscribing to your newsletter, that means that they've learned something. They're looking forward to learning more from you. So these audience are more closer to your heart, more than your LinkedIn audience or more than your Instagram audience or YouTube audience. Same with YouTube and Substack. These people are, I think, YouTube also, it's like it goes to a lot of people, like because algorithm pushes it more than your number of subscribers. Whereas Substack, these are the people that admired you or admiring you or they got inspired from you. So these audience are closer to you more than your LinkedIn audience. So I think that's where I see a lot of people are working on newsletters, and then that's where they make a lot of money too. So and you're closer to your audience is what I would say in terms of Substack. You can put all your knowledge out there. Never worry about a character limit. Never worry about any thresholds that you might have on other platforms like LinkedIn, Instagram, or YouTube. Because when the duration increases, you might see a lot of drop in watch time.
And you're not dependent on the algorithm of LinkedIn to show it to people, right?
Exactly. Now, they're bound to see because they have subscribed. They will see for sure because they want to learn from you. They want to uh, gain knowledge from you. So they want to connect with you. They're closer to you than uh, anyone ever.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you mean by saying that the audience is closer, because they're not just passively scrolling. They're actually saying, I want to learn from you, and you don't have to like pull me in. I'm already pulled in. I'm already with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're a step ahead of others.
Now, so we've been talking a lot about, the benefits of being active on LinkedIn, whether it's for your current job, a job search, promotions, whatever that might be. For the person that's sitting, either watching this, listening to this, wherever they might be, who has 100 followers or 500 followers, what's gonna be, where is it gonna hurt, right? If they don't start posting, if they just keep lurking on LinkedIn, right? Where is this gonna impact them most in their lives?
I think short term, not really, but long term, it's like compounding interest. Every post, every conversation that you make, it's gonna make impact long term. So when you stop posting or when you stop using LinkedIn, you lose visibility. Let's say if something were to happen, like you company got laid off, the company laid you off, the maybe company was almost without revenue, and then if it was not in profits, if the company might have to shut down, you wouldn't know whom to reach out or how do you start from zero again. So that's where when you start posting on LinkedIn or any social media about your expertise, uh, you increase your visibility, you get your personal brand, you get to meet people that you wouldn't have access to if you were not posting. So now when you start posting, you have access to everyone in the world. Like say even people who are directors or VPs at different companies who are way ahead of us in our career, you have access to these people because if they are posting, you engage with their content, you get into their DMs, and then eventually a one-on-one call, and then you become their connection, maybe a friend, and then maybe you become part of their team with long term. So short term, not really, but long term, a lot of issues if you're not being active. Because I mean, if you have a whole different network, even though if you're not active on LinkedIn, that's a win-win. But if you don't have a network and if you're not posting, you're losing a lot of opportunities because you're not active. And I've seen a lot of
Yeah.
people, whenever they get job through LinkedIn, they stop posting, and the only time they're active again is when they are looking for job, and then they struggle. So if you want to come out of that loop, uh, make yourself visible is what I would say.
Totally. And I just want to add on to that. You talked about how LinkedIn opens 100 doors. So you're effectively shutting those. And
Exactly.
maybe 10 of those are new jobs, 20 of those are paid speaking opportunities, and 30 of those are like networking connections that really appreciate you, that would be super helpful when you're in need and when you need their help. And you're shutting the doors in all their faces, basically.
Exactly. And you would never know who you would meet at a conference. Like that might be your game changing moment, a turning point in your life. So one moment can change everything in terms of LinkedIn or content creation, whatever it is that we are doing. So just make sure to put yourself out there, come out of comfort zone, give it some time. Like everything will be in place when the time comes.
I would not be at Snowflake if I wasn't active on LinkedIn. Like, I did not get my job through LinkedIn, but directly influenced. My time on LinkedIn has helped lead to where I am now. And it's something I've battled with, right? When we come into the topic of posting on LinkedIn, and for the people that are thinking about starting to post or want to start to post, and like we said earlier, you don't have to become anyone else. You post what you know, and you post where you are. You start posting so you can help. Something people struggle with at this point early on is, man, everything I post, it's just cringy. It just sounds so corny and cheesy, and like me posting something. This is something my friends have even told me before. They see me post and they're like, it feels like you're writing to your fans. And like people have that view of like when you post on LinkedIn. So how can you recommend to people to kind of get over or around that thought, or what can they do to kind of not have that thought stick with them and prevent them from posting?
That's a great question. I think that's something that most creators, all of us, have experienced it. So there's a lot of cringe out there. You have to face it. So if you're facing cringe, that means that you're growing. Cringe is part of growth. That's what I would say. So if you're getting that, that means that you're doing something that no one else is doing. So that's something to remember. So keep that in mind when someone mocks you, or like your friends, they'll be the first ones to mock when you start posting. So you're doing something that they're not doing. So make sure to remember that, and then you will be laughed at, and then that's completely fine. Like, but if you are waiting for the perfect moment to start, you will never start, and then you would never know where this would lead you to. Or like say, like you mentioned, the Snowflake a conference, you would never know. I mean, you wouldn't even know maybe that Snowflake conference existed if you were not posting. So that's something that we all figured out. Even I didn't know before that a lot of conferences were there that I wasn't aware of. But when I started posting other creators, following other creators, I got to know, okay, this is the conference that I need to attend to. These are the people that I need to talk with, to upskill myself, to learn more, or to stand out in my current role, or to learn something new. So I would rather be a little cringe than invisible, is what I would say.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I have to say that I think a little bit of cringe in corporate culture is what you have to deal with in person anyway. It might as well get you a job. My last
Exactly.
4 opportunities, LinkedIn was a big part of them. And I would so much rather be a little bit cringe in public than not have those opportunities to grow my salary by $50,000 in 13 months.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a trade-off again. Yeah. You want to be clean, okay, you might have less opportunities. You're okay with 1% cringe, you get 99% of the opportunities.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and it also comes back to what we talked about earlier, where like you just don't care what people think as much after you've been posting for a while, especially at size level. And if you want to get to that point, you have to start. So it's again just swallowing the little bit of cringe to get to the real value, I think.
Exactly. I think it's a trade-off. And just make sure that you're authentic to yourself, your post quality is high, as long as you're meeting the standards of what you know, and you're not misleading anyone, or if everything is perfect from what you're doing, if you're not doing something wrong, so not worry about cringe. It's a byproduct.
Yeah, and there's also different types. Like you can be more and less cringe. I feel like me talking about my real experiences as a data scientist, data analyst, and DevRel advocate is a little bit of like business cringe, whereas like a CEO posting about how they're so sad that they had to lay off 1,000 people is like a level that you never want to get to. And if you're a normal person, don't worry about that, you know?
That's a great point.
Difference between cringe and clickbait, right? There's a big difference here of, like you're saying, being authentic. Cringe is not clickbait, but clickbait is cringe. And it's a level of cringe that we want to avoid.
Nice adding.
Okay. And so now I've gotten over the cringe thing, right? I'm like, all right, okay, screw it, I'm just gonna post. I'm gonna put something out there. But right, it can't be trash. It has to have some formatting. It has to be able to be readable, and it has to be in a format that people can know what they just read, right? You don't want people to read it and then be like, what did I just read? So in that comes formatting. And within that, right, that takes time. So how are you kind of managing formatting your post? Or like emojis? Does emojis add to cringe? Maybe, but does it add to readability? Also probably. So where do you weigh that trade-off, right? How do you format your post in a way that are engaging, while also helping people get value right out of it?
I think that's one thing that a lot of us are learning. But one thing that I've learned is formatting do matter. When I started out, like I think I still remember I wouldn't have a line spacing between the paragraphs, and then I would just write 20 lines of paragraphs and then post. But then readability matters. Same like how we document our work at universities or during our work. When you are presenting to a VP or a director, you need to make sure that your formatting is perfect. The readability matters. Same with your LinkedIn post or Instagram or whatever social media that you're on. Formatting matters because you don't want the users to drop. Like say, if the readability is bad, they would just scroll away and then they would go to next post in their feed. So you need to make sure that readability matters. That can make or break your post. That's something that I've learned the hard way. So few tools that I use, and before that, I make sure that every paragraph that I write is not more than 2 to 3 lines, because when it's more than 3 lines, it looks like, I mean, it is a paragraph when you don't want to write paragraphs. I would rather split it out into bullet points and then make it easier for them to read, understand, grasp, and then the retention would increase. That makes them hit the follow button, or that makes them comment on my post because they've understood it. I put it in an easier way for them to understand in a better way, and then they got some value out of it. So readability matters. And emojis, once in a while I use emojis whenever it's required, but I would usually avoid emojis unless it's required, or unless it fits in the context that I'm putting in. If it fits in, I'm open to using them, but if it doesn't fit in, I don't add them. And for formatting stuff, LinkedIn doesn't give us a lot of options to format in terms of bolding or underline everything. So I have to use some Chrome extensions for that. So I use Beautify Post as a Chrome extension that helps me a lot in bolding stuff or highlighting or underlining and other like formatting stuff to make it readable in a better format. And then for scheduling, I write my post on weekend and then I schedule it for next 7 days. But when I was starting out, I used to write a post for tomorrow, today, and then that used to eat up a lot of my time. And I was like, okay, this is not gonna happen. I don't want to write a post every day. I don't want to spend 2 hours every day. I would rather sit 5 to 7 hours over the weekend, schedule everything for 7 days, and then I would rather upskill during the week or maybe watch a movie or cook or talk with friends or parents. I would rather spend my time on things that matter during the week. So I schedule everything over the week. And as again, LinkedIn doesn't give us much options to schedule. At least I'm not of the testing part yet. So I use Clio to schedule my post. During weekdays, I come up with ideas. I note them on my Notion doc. During weekends, I expand the draft and then I make a carousel or infographic out of it or a cheat sheet out of it. And then I schedule everything for next 7 days. And if I'm going on vacation, it's gonna be 7 days plus the vacation duration. But I make sure a post goes live every day.
So Clio for scheduling and Beautify Post for formatting.
Format. Yep.
So since you're scheduling, when's the best time, right? Tuesday at 11 a.m. used to be like one of my favorite times to schedule a post for. Do you have like times where you say, yeah, I get more traction when the post goes live at this time than other times?
That's something that's unique to every creator, I would say. I would say everyone's data is unique, everyone's audience is unique, everyone's content is unique. So when you're starting out, try out different times. So when you feel when you would know when you have enough data in terms of data to conclude a decision, so make sure that you have enough data to conclude that okay, this is the time that works for me: Monday mornings, Thursday evenings, Saturday afternoons. So that's something that I figure out for me. Every day, I mean, on weekdays mornings and afternoon works great. On weekends mornings work great. That's something that took me around 3 to 4 months when I was starting out. Figure out I posted at random times, like with few hours of difference, and then saw the engagement rates. And it also depends on where your geographics of your audience. Let's say you're in states, if your audience is in India, it might be night for them, and vice versa. So if your most of our audience is from Europe, that might be a different timing. So it also depends on where your audience is from, what the audience that you're targeting. Maybe you're in India but you have a company in United States, you might want to use United States time because that's where people are awake. So multiple factors to consider. So make sure to try out different timings, different formats, different days, and make sure to have enough data to conclude, and then keep doing it. If it doesn't work out, start the test again.
Yeah, and if you're starting from zero with like no audience and you're, let's say, a US based creator talking about data, then you pretty much want to find these overlap times that make sense for time zones throughout the US. So, like, I'll typically be posting 8 a.m. Pacific, which is like 11 a.m. US. So, people are like about to go to lunch where Sam is, and people are just getting up where I am. So that makes sense for me as like a baseline. And I really should do some more like testing like you have, Sai, to see the engagement at different random times. I also wanted to add one more thing onto the clickbait conversation that I feel like we didn't touch on, and would love to hear more of your thoughts on this, Sai. But I think what's helped me is trying to align the incentives of like, I want people to get value and I also want them to engage for my sake. And how do I frame this so that I'm aligning with both of these goals? And for me, that's taking whatever my post is, whether it's like a story or an infographic or a carousel about a new topic, and then painting it in a framing that makes you want to read more. So to me, the clickbait is valid if it's supporting the value of the post. And so for an example of that, I just wanted to quickly say, I did a post recently about how I almost said no to like my biggest opportunity to write Crash Course, which is a series that's very close to my heart. Instead of saying, hey, I didn't know Java, so I was scared to use my Python skills here, I clickbaited at the top with, I almost said no. And then I have the whole story. But I think that that's kind of an interesting hook. And it's the same writing device. Like you don't think a book is clickbaity for having an interesting introduction, right? So it's kind of the same idea.
Got it. Just to add on that, I completely agree with your point. So as long as your rest of the content agrees with the hook and the clickbait that you have used, there's no problem. But if you're using something else for clickbait, and then if your rest of the content doesn't speak to what was mentioned in the hook or the clickbait, that's something that you can expect a lot of cringe on. That's something that you can expect a lot of negative comments on. As long as these both are aligned and are parallel instead perpendicular, as we discussed, you are in a good position. And then and you want to use clickbait because you have put in a lot of efforts. You have put in a lot of efforts to make a carousel, a infographic, or coming up with ideas, working on the text content, and then scheduling, engaging. So clickbait is fine as long as it speaks to the rest of the content. But if they're completely opposite, that's something that shouldn't be done. And if you still do that, you might expect some cringe, negative comments, like, and a lot of unfollows, or that's a byproduct. So a lot of byproducts for that.
So the difference between cringe, clickbait, and hook. Hook is our marketing author term for hook to get you interested in the thing I'm about to tell you, versus clickbait is getting you interested and then leaving you disappointed because I didn't do it.
That's way better, because it's, I guess the full thing is like a clickbait and switch, where it's like you've pulled me in and then you're not giving me what you implied.
Exactly.
That I would never do, and I would never think of that, and I don't want to see that, so I'm not going to do that.
Exactly. I mean, the moment I see someone doing that, it's an unfollow.
So you mentioned carousels and infographics kind of in what you were saying there. So what's a carousel?
So it's like a PDF. I think LinkedIn calls it carousel. That's a new word that I learned when I got into content creation side of things, and they're pretty amazing, because one key KPI is that LinkedIn algorithm measures is the time spent on your post. If it's way more than average or like industry standard, the algorithm would push your post to more feeds. So when you make an carousel, the users tend to spend more time because they need to scroll to 5th page, 7th page, 12th, 15th page. So the time they spend on your post increases a lot. And then if it's save worthy, if you're saving your if someone is saving your post, that means that there's a lot of value in that. So these are like triggers for algorithm to push your post to further feeds. So that's something for every aspiring creators, is something that I would say. If you would save your post, if you would share your post with someone, that's a good post. If one of these or neither of these are not meeting, that's something that you need to work on. I mean, if that's your ultimate goal.
So where do you make these PDFs? How do you create these and I imagine it's maybe 7-8 pages of a PDF that you upload into LinkedIn, but I'm not going to just go write in Obsidian and then export as a PDF and have it like just some writing. So how do you make these interesting and engaging?
I use Canva for that. It's one of the best platforms out there, be it for infographics, be it for carousels or images, any editing stuff. I use Canva, and that's something that I would recommend for every creator. If you're starting out, you can start with free version, but as with time, you would get a lot of traction. You want to be more because you are reaching out to larger audience now. You want to be more professional, and like when you're starting out, very less people see your post, but then with the time there are gonna be more people seeing it. So maybe get upgrade to paid version of Canvas to get more templates. So that's one thing that I use every week for infographics, and then even for carousels. That's something that my editor also does. So whenever I give him content, he uses Canva and Figma. I mean, I don't use Figma, but he uses Figma for infographics. So he's the creative person. I give him content, technical content. He's the creative one. He does the creative part.
Cool. That's awesome. I also wanted to add on that it's aligning with the same thing we discussed earlier, where the reason carousels work so well is because they are giving the audience more. You can get a lot more content. Again, with the character limits on LinkedIn text posts, you can get so much more and feel like you're kind of developing the story and like, okay, I learned what the SQL concept is, how to implement it, why it's necessary, what's the trade-off, where should I use it, where should I not? And we can fit that all into one post now. And we're having people spend more time. We're having people be more likely to save. So we're aligning the incentives, and that's why it's a good option.
Exactly. They're like game changers. Without carousels, I think I wouldn't be here.
And instead of formatting our post or spending a lot of time formatting our post on LinkedIn, we can do it in Canva and then just do a couple beautified postings in the post. But most of that formatting is really customized in the carousel that you build.
Yeah, exactly. You have a lot more options.
Yeah, a lot more options to customize, personalize, add more content. You can add images, you can add code blocks, which are very limited in terms of text content. You could add a lot more options in carousels. It can be 10 pages, it can be 100, it can be 500 pages. So there's no limit on that.
I will say I'm not using the 500 page carousels as much.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's just me.
20, I guess, but not more than 20. Yeah, 15.
That's the one I save and never come back to. But at least I saved it, so it helps you, right? Because I saved it.
Exactly.
You don't want to sit and write it, though, is the issue.
This brings up a good point, and I'm doing time check here. We have 10 minutes left in our scheduled time. But something that's that's coming up for me right now is we've talked about a lot of different post kind of modalities, right? And ways of posting. We have our newsletters and we have our LinkedIn post, but then we have our LinkedIn post with Beautify post versus the carousels. There's a lot of options for how we approach what the way we do it on LinkedIn. So what's your goal? Right? When you post, is it to get people to save things and never come back to them, but at least they saved it? Is it to get it to share? Do you want them to comment and tag someone else in a comment because that also helps, right? Your metrics. Is it the time spent because the carousel and time spent and that helps you reach other people? Like what's your goal from not from a content perspective, because I feel like your goal when you post something about SQL or analytics, right? It's pretty clear that like I want to help you learn SQL right now. Like this is what this post is about. But behind that, right? What are your goals for when you post something? Do you want people to like, share, save, subscribe, or subscribe to your newsletter? Kind of how do you think about that? And do different posts have different goals also?
Yeah, that's something. That's a great question. So I would say my expectations for any post is I need to meet most of the things that you have mentioned. I want my posts to be useful for the audience, and I want them to save my post, repost mine, and then comment. So I would want everything to happen because I'm putting in a lot of efforts, and then it's very useful. So and also one point that you mentioned is it depends on the type of post. But if it's a carousel one, I would want all these things to be satisfied. I want users to spend more time. I want them to save. I want them to share. I want them to comment. I mean, commenting is something that's not in my hands, but I want them to save because it helps them in learning something new or upskill, or maybe use it whenever they need a few months down the line when they would like to work on this topic. But if it's a text plus image post, that if it's a personal story, I don't want anything from them. I just want them to read and then maybe stay inspired. That's all I would want from them. I don't mind if they don't comment or if they don't repost, even if they don't like, as long as they read my story. And then if there's a takeaway from them, that's all I would care about. And text plus infographic, the time spent might not be more because it's only infographic. So I would want just them to save and repost maybe a comment because it helps reach in more people, and then that helps increase their visibility also. When you comment, uh, it increases your visibility, and that's on that point, that's something that I've learned. I've met more people in comment section than in my DMs.
Yep.
So true. That's your like loyal following. And I also see you doing a couple other interesting things that I don't see anyone else really doing, or maybe I'm just not paying as close attention and I'm appreciating you more from afar. But at your scale, which is what, like 180K right now, which is amazing, you can really direct your audience in specific interesting ways. So like I see when you do collaborations and paid opportunities, you'll repost the original post, which is interesting. And then the big thing that I see you doing all the time is you'll comment on your own post and then say, let's keep this at the top. And now you're encouraging your audience to engage with that comment so it's staying organically on top. And you're making them feel like they're part of it and like building a relationship with them while also, again, aligning the incentives.
Exactly. And that's one of the tricks. I would say it's a secret. Maybe now it's open secret. So one key metric to make your post viral is the number of conversations happen in the comment section. That's what makes your post viral than anything. So the more conversations happen in your comment section, it also depends on number of words in the comment. So if a user is typing more than 15 words, or like say 10 words, that means that they have something to add value. Instead saying thanks, you're welcome, or
Great
saved in
post at Sai.
great post. Yeah. So instead that if someone is going an extra mile to put out a comment with by adding value, that means that there's something more than just saying thanks or great post, something like that. So that's a trigger for algorithm also. So that's what I keep stressing on whenever someone reaches out that they want to start a creator journey. Make sure to engage with other posts. It's not just about your post. It helps in getting engagement in your post. Two, you get to meet more people. That's what I for me, two is more valuable than one, because your LinkedIn account might be there today or tomorrow. If something were to happen to LinkedIn, you might have to lose your account, but the connections that you make are the ones that will keep you moving over the years. So when you start commenting on people's post, it gets you visibility. If you're not interested in starting to post, at least start commenting on people's post, share their post, so that helps them get visibility. Two, that helps you get visibility instead without even posting. So just giving value. And I've seen a lot of my friends like who don't post but they comment, and they build their network. So more comments, more relationships happen in the were built in the comment section more than in DMs. because you're adding value, because the person is bound to reply. At least the probability of them replying to your comment is way more when when you text them in their DMs, because when you're texting in DMs, no one's gonna know. It's only between you and the person who do you text it. But when you're commenting, it's out there in front of millions of people or thousands of people. So the probability of them replying is way higher in the comment section than in DMs. So use it to your advantage.
Something we hit on a lot is the one-to-one versus one-to-many, right?
Exactly.
Your value can be exponentially larger in a one-to-many situation than a one-to-one.
Exactly.
Yeah, bringing it back to data. Love it.
Yeah. And you never know who's watching your comment. Maybe you added something valuable comment. Maybe hiring manager might have seen, or someone at your work might have seen, and then you might get a promotion or any other extra opportunity. So uh, it's all goes down to visibility again. So if it's happening in DMs, only you and the person that you're talking with knows. But if it's happening in comments or in terms of post, there are thousands of people that are watching your comments, that are watching your posts. So uh, it's like unpaid marketing, like free marketing for your self marketing or whatever the name that is. That's going to help you in long term, if not short term.
God, I want to get off this call and go comment on like 17 people's posts now. I'm so inspired.
Aw, you should. Especially our posts.
Yeah.
Yes.
There we go. Actually, I'll make 9 between the two of you. There, just send a bunch of comments out. I can't tell you the amount of times it's happened that someone comes up to me and they're like, "Hey, saw your post on LinkedIn," like in real life or on Slack at work. They'll message me, "Hey, saw your post on LinkedIn." I go back and look at the post. They didn't like or comment on it. So like, I wouldn't have known otherwise if they hadn't come and like talked to me about it. So it happens a lot where people are looking, they are seeing and engaging. They're just not hitting the like or comment button. So you're getting more visibility than maybe you think. Of course, LinkedIn now shows us impressions on comments, I think. So we have a little bit better, but we don't know who those people are, right? And could be one number away from changing the rest of your life.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I feel like the impressions really show you how deep the iceberg goes. I recently did a really fun post on like the data propaganda that I'm not falling for. You know, it was a fun trend. So I did one recently, and I think it had like 15 or 20,000 impressions, and it has like 30 engagements, which is fine, and I'm not mad about it. But it's just, you would never know how many people you're reaching. And when you think about that ratio, it's like the people that you're seeing reacting are just the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly. And one thing that I would like to add is, and it's a trick that I use, if I want to connect with someone, for sure, like I admire him or her, I got inspiration from a lot of them. So I make sure to engage with their post before reaching out in DMs, because I make at least for a week or two, I engage with their post, and then they'll reply, and then I make a little connection in the comment section. So when I DM them, the probability of them replying is way higher if I was to just DM them or send a connection request. So whenever I see a person that I want to connect with, I want to talk with, I make sure to give value before I reach out and ask for value. So it's always like give first. Maybe you'll get something later on. So I trust in that. Like I always try to give value before I ask something.
Yeah, he's playing the long game. And I also just want to add, this is how I eventually connected with Nick Singh when I was in college, after literally engaging with his content for like 6 months or something. And he never saw the initial DM that I sent him in like month 3 of that, but he independently reached out to me later because I was engaging so much with his posts and giving him like my version of value that I could offer at the time. And that propelled my entire career. And I would not be anywhere near where I am now without his connection and support. So like you keep saying, one thing can really change everything.
Exactly. One comment, one post, one DM.
And maybe at that time you didn't feel ready to like go out and launch your own campaign, right, Shiv? But you were providing value where you could, and that changed the rest of your life, which is awesome.
Yeah, because he was looking for students to speak to. Right. He was looking for audiences of students to be like, hey, buy my book, learn what value I'm providing. And that's what I could give to him.
You never know if someone's looking for someone like you, they just haven't found you yet. And you have to make yourself more visible to get found.
Yep,
totally.
All right. Well, we're at time, but we have a couple more. We have like 2 more questions. One more question, then it'll be time for you to talk a little bit more about kind of what you're doing and where you're going. But just our last fun question here is, what's been your favorite interaction on LinkedIn?
I wouldn't say there's one. There are many. Like I can't even count. It's been almost 20 months since I've started. I have met hundreds of people who are way ahead of me in terms of career, experience, knowledge. So I'm grateful for all the people that I've met is what I would say. If not for LinkedIn, I wouldn't be in this call, or I would have surrounded me by friends. So like LinkedIn has changed everything for me. There's no one such person that I would say, but I admire a lot of them. I get inspiration from a lot of them. So upskilling has become a lot easier for me. If it wasn't for LinkedIn, it would have taken me a year or two to upskill. Whereas now, because of the connections I made, it happens in few weeks or few months to upskill or stay ahead in terms of what's happening in the AI world or just in general outside world. So there's no one such person that I would say, but there are like hundreds of them that inspire me every day and then that I learn from every day. But this is what my biggest takeaway, and this is what my more than anything. It's the people that I've met. It's the connections that I've made over past 20 months, and that's something that I look forward to every day. Like meeting new people, learning from their stories, be it success stories or failure stories. There's something to learn from everyone's journey. It's unique. Everyone's unique journey. So be it a college student or be it VP at Google, so there's something to learn. They have failed, they have succeeded again. So it's a loop. So I'm more than happy to hop on call with anyone every time, like whenever I have time. So that's something that I care about, and that's my long term goal with LinkedIn too. Meet people that uh, normal ones wouldn't have access to if it wasn't for LinkedIn. Right now, we have access to a lot more people than if you are a normal person. But when you start putting yourself out there, you have met Nick, which wouldn't have happened without LinkedIn. So wouldn't be happening without LinkedIn. So same like we have met a lot of people like Zach, Aishwarya, or like people that I admire a lot. So it wouldn't be happening without LinkedIn is what I would say. So there are a lot. In short, there's no one such person. There are like hundreds of them.
And we have focused a lot of this conversation around LinkedIn, but it's also just coming back to the core of that, which is community, right? Like form community in your area where you can, or even internationally, right? Throughout the world where you can. And then whenever they're on a trip or you're on a trip, if you can, like last year we met up in California when I was overseeing a friendship and I did, and we went and got coffees, and like so we're on completely opposite ends of the country, but we were able to meet up. And I think so it's just about forming that community, and LinkedIn is a conduit to that community, but there's a lot of other ways to do it too, right? So if LinkedIn isn't your jam, right, there's other ways to do it. There's the low-key happy hours, there's conferences, there's a lot of ways to form that community that becomes very valuable for you. I think the three of us have really leveraged LinkedIn to begin to create those communities, but there's a lot of ways to do it too.
Yeah. Just to add on that, like, at the end of the day, your network matters. It's not just about what you know, but who you know and who knows you matter a lot. Like be it LinkedIn, Instagram, or just a random meetup like that, like you mentioned, or conference or local meetups, maybe a coffee club or a gym membership, a group of people. So it's your network that matters more than anything. You can build it in different forms, but make sure that you know people and people know you.
And so we'll finish off on what's next for you, right? What's coming down the pipeline? Anything exciting you can share us about what's happening?
That's a good question and then tough question. That's something that I haven't thought of, but what I can say is more impact. I want to double down on sharing my knowledge, upskilling through my post, newsletters, and maybe 2026, I'm aiming for my Instagram. And I'm also, for the short term, I'm focusing on starting more series. Done a series on 10-day data analytics interview. Maybe I'll come up with more on job search, data science, and then more series is coming soon. That's something that I want to put out there, and looking forward to connecting with more people. So that's what I value more than anything. So it's the people that I connect, and then the learnings from their journeys is what I value more than anything.
And we've mentioned a lot of different platforms too. So for anyone that's not currently following you, either on LinkedIn or other platforms, what are all the different areas that someone could find you if they wanted to go look for you?
I would say LinkedIn and Substack are pretty good platforms. Like, I mean, I create content on both of them. If you could add it in the description, I think I'm more than happy to reply to DMs. Just make sure to mention that it's from this podcast. And then that's where customizing comes in again. So make sure to customize your message to get the probability of getting a reply increases. That's what I follow, and that's what I would recommend everyone to follow.
That's awesome. We really appreciate your time today. Went a few minutes over, but I think I don't know if I was moderating a podcast or if I was learning, because I felt like I just had a paid learning session about how to do better on LinkedIn. So take this knowledge and move forth with it. Right.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you very much for your time, Sai.
Yep. All the best, everyone.